All right, you guys, we got section 4.6. What I am going to do is I'm going to teach you something about triangles here. We have a triangle that looks like this, okay? And it's asking me to list the angles of the triangle in order of smallest to largest. Now, we can use some common sense here. I also need you to really pay close attention to when I ask you for an angle. Your answer is this point or this point or this point, okay? On the back, I'm going to ask you about sides. Okay, there's a big difference here when I ask you about sides. Some of us keep getting these mixed up. A side, one of your options is JH, another option is JG, another option is HG. I think that's making it like really difficult for some of us as we're mixing up the difference between sides and angles, okay? So when I ask for angles, I want you to give me angle R, or angle P, or angle Q. You can point to them, but we get really confused when I ask you to like give me letters. Okay. Did you know that the smallest angle is across from the smallest side? So can you look at these three side lengths and tell me which one is smallest? The smallest one is this one. That means that the smallest angle, this is really cool, is this one. Angle R is the smallest. Okay, what is the next smallest one? So we have to just put them in order. Okay, so we already did the 5. Let's talk about the 7. This side is in the middle. That means that it is across from this angle, angle Q. And the biggest side is across from the biggest angle. Here's the biggest side. It's labeled 8, and it is across from the biggest angle, which is P. Let's try one more. I'm going to do the smallest one first. Here is my smallest side, which means right here is the smallest side, which means that is the smallest angle, angle F. Okay, let's talk about the middle one now. The 4 is done, the F is gone. Okay, so the middle side is 8, and that is across from angle D, which means D is the middle angle in terms of smallest to largest. And then the biggest one, the 8.6, this is my longest side, and it happens to be across from the biggest angle, which is marked angle E, okay? When I ask for angles, I need to make sure that you give me angles, okay? Now let's talk about sides, because the same thing happens with sides. I'm going to flip. First of all, let's see if we can figure out what angle G is right here. I know that all 3 angles in a triangle add up to 180. Therefore, I'm going to subtract 180 minus 100 and minus 45, and I'm going to get 35. You can check me in the calculator if you want to, but that's 35 degrees right there, okay? In a triangle, as you know, we talked about this at the very beginning of the chapter, all the angles always add up to 180. So let's figure out, it wants to know the sides, okay, of the triangle in order from shortest to longest. So the shortest side is across from the shortest angle. Here's the smallest angle. It's the smallest number, and it is going to be across from the smallest side, JH. So when I ask for a side, I want you to give me JH. That is the shortest side of the triangle. Now let's do the middle one. 45 is the next smallest. And this is an angle, and it happens to be across from the medium or the middle side, which is labeled between J and G. And I'm putting little segment bars over the top. Okay, my biggest angle right here is going to be across from my biggest side. This is my biggest side, HG, so I'm going to put HG. Okay, let me do one more. I can figure out what this angle is right here by doing 180 minus 136 minus 23. I believe you get 21. You can check me on that if you want to. But that's 21 degrees. So if I need to figure out what the smallest side is, remember I'm asking about sides, I'm going to find the smallest angle, which is this one. And it happens to be across from the smallest side, which is labeled between H and G. That's the smallest side of the triangle. I mean, just look at it. Use some common sense, right? The smallest side is between H and G. You could point to it. Do you know how to actually label it and write it? The next smallest one is 23. It's this angle, and it happens to be across from this side right here between F and G. So I'm going to put FG. And my last one, 136, this angle happens to be across from this side, which is definitely the biggest just by looking at it, between H and F. Brilliant. That's how we're going to put those in order. Now let's talk about one more thing. Did you know, these are going to look really similar to problems we did in class yesterday, but in a triangle, the two smaller sides, these are the two smaller numbers, when you add them together, has to be bigger than the third side. Did you know that? How do I write that in math? So let's first of all decide which are the two smaller sides. And remember this one, the biggest one we always call C. So my two smaller sides are 5 and 7. My biggest side is 13. And I have to ask myself, we'll put this on our note card, but is A plus B greater than with a question mark C? That's what I have to ask myself. This looks really familiar to something that we did a couple days ago. Let me flip back. Actually, this was just yesterday. Remember these problems when we did a squared plus b squared and we had to fill in the box? And then based on what sign you put in the box, you had to match it up with one of these. It's very similar, except you'll notice this time I'm not doing squares, okay? I don't know if it makes a triangle. The question asked is different. Those questions we did yesterday, I asked you, is it acute, obtuse, or right? And you had to actually pick the word. This is asking me something different. Can they form a triangle? It's a yes or no question. It's not pick acute, obtuse, or right. We will put this on our note card, but here's how we're going to set it up. I'm taking my A and my B, my two smaller sides. I'm adding them up, and I'm asking myself, is it greater than with a question mark? I have to answer yes or no. The C, which is always the longest side. That's very similar from what we've talked about in the past. So A, I decided I'll make this A and this B. Yes, you can switch the A and the B. But okay, so A is 5 and B is 7. Is that greater than with a question mark C, which is 13? So what is 5 plus 7? It is 12. Is that greater than with a question mark 13? Is the alligator mouth eating the bigger number? The answer is no. 12 is not the bigger number. Remember, the alligator wants to eat the bigger number. It should be eating the 13. So that's why I'm circling no. Let's try another one. It's very simple. As long as you got this written on your note card, you should be fine on the quiz. This is the A and the B, and this is the C because the C is always the biggest. Yes, you can switch the A and the B if you want to. My two smaller sides are 6 and 10, and my largest side is 12. And I have to ask myself, again, it's a yes or no question. Is A plus B greater than C? And I'm going to put a question mark over the greater than symbol. A and B were 6 and 10. Is that greater than with a question mark 12? Let's actually combine 6 and 10. You get 16. Is that greater than 12? Is the alligator mouth in this case eating the bigger number? The answer is yes. Let me do one more. This one is the C because it's the biggest number. The other two are A and B. I'm going to put A plus B. Is it greater than with a question mark C? I have to answer yes or no for this. The A is 5 and also the B is 5. So I'm going to put 5 plus 5. Is that greater than 10? Why did I put 10? Because C is 10. So I plugged in all my numbers. 5 plus 5 is 10. Is 5 actually greater than 10, yes or no? The answer is no. Yes, they're equal, but this is not an equal symbol. The number 10 is not a bigger number than 10. They're equal. That's why you answer no. All right, thanks for watching, you guys. Let's crush that Delta math and be done, okay?